Welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast. Vishnudaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine.
We'll introduce us something.
Okay.
Say something.
Yeah. I was just waiting for Mike.
Sing the jingle or whatever you know.
Okay, so we've got another episode of Welsh Yogi Podcast, continuing from yesterday. Me, Gopal, Tarakanatha, Prabhu, Mother Misrani, and Gopi Gita Devidasi.
Hari Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
So, I mean, something I was thinking about yesterday, just to go back over Misrani's journey, and then maybe we can go back into the chronology of ISCKON Wales.
I mean, as we was talking, it was just things were coming. What the chronology, I don't know, always flow, but because it's like if you tune, as we was talking, things are coming up, and then sometimes we'll have to sit down and try and figure what order they come in, what dates, and but.
I was thinking, what made you become a spiritualist, Misrani? That's something I was thinking. Why did you? That's quite, especially back then, it's quite a niche thing to get into, isn't it? That's something I was thinking about yesterday. Just
Answer that question, I don't really know. I mean, I was searching for something, obviously. Then came across a couple of people that had an interest in it. So just started going along like that, really. I never really felt comfortable, not 100%.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever talk to a dead person?
I may have spoken to a spirit or two, yes. But we don't know who these,
I used to speak to a spirit, but I was after the spirit or two.
But as we know, with the understanding that we have now, there are many souls that are not able to sort of pass on. So they kind of hang around as ghosts. And I'm thinking, that these are the sorts of spirits that want to communicate, don't have that physical, body.
A lot of people get caught up in all this channeling and, and all this, the entities, because they're all on the astral plane there. But you got to be careful they don't know who. They say they have these good guides and this and that, but you really got to be careful what you're doing out there. So, but when you follow the Supreme Spirit, Krishna, you're on safe ground. Otherwise, you just don't know who you're tapping into, and especially on the astral plane, these powerful entities out there. Just like you said, they're looking for physical bodies to get into because they have the desires, but they're frustrated. They don't have the body to enact out their desires. So you really got to be careful what you're doing when you're tapping into all that stuff. So we just follow the Supreme Spirit, Krishna, and you'll be safe. Otherwise,
I remember the day that I actually threw away all my spiritualist books. Do you remember that? It was
a Ouija board and stuff like that.
No, I didn't do that.
nice try, Gopal.
It's just lots of...
She's still got it. She's still using it.
We watch it at night, don't we, Gopal? Go into a room,
I remember putting them all in the bin at a motorway service station. Every single one.
Why would I remember that? Was I there?
Yeah, you were there, actually. We were going somewhere. I said, I'm going to get rid of all of these. I just chucked them all in the bin. Gone.
Yeah. I remember you shutting down on it because sometimes I'd inquire and you said, I'm not going in, that's in the past, I'm moving on, and fair play to you, kind of.
Well, so I don't want to jump, I'm jumping forward a little bit now. But what happened when I first started coming, you still had the Soul Centre in, what was a street called in Cardiff?
Oh, Cowbridge Road.
Cowbridge Road, yeah. And I'm sure I said like aura readings and things like that.
I was thinking, but I remember we had tarot cards, but it was according to the Bhagavad Gita. I found some things in Vrindavan. So that was the mood, and it's still the mood. It was whatever it would take to get people to come in. And I know Misrani had that skill set, but then so I had to convince her because she didn't want to dovetail it for Krishna. I mean, it's a bit maybe left of centre looking back, but aura readings but anyone, they have machines to do, because we all got auras. Everyone's got, auras. We all carry auras and things. It didn't really take. I remember I got a bit of trouble with it at the management council. I think it was, what are you doing, tarot reading? What's I going to do? You know, well, I explained that it was a bag of a Gita. Remember the cards?
I remember the cards.
It was a bag of verses from the Gita.
I mean, it's very cutting edge.
Yeah, it was. That
We
was.
should do that again.
That was. But I was just trying to think of something. You know, how to. But that was the idea. That it's a point of entry for people. But we were spiritualizing it, Christianizing it. You know, really, that's real spiritualism, you know. And so you were attracting these sort of people who are into that, but, you know, yeah.
Did you use that? Did you read people?
I did, yeah.
How did it go?
No, I don't know. I'm too spooked out. I wouldn't go there.
If you consider that, you know, the past, the present, and your future is with you, so there's lots of memories that you have within that kind of auric field around you.
Don't look at me like that, Misrani. When she's talking and she's proper eyeing me up and down. Like,
Reading you, yeah. Remember, Prima she used to freak her out. She used to wind Prima, but I know what you're thinking, Prima. Used to really wind him up.
yeah. So Gopi's asking Misrani, but could you? Did you know what he was thinking? It's not hard.
Some people are easy to read, yeah. Sorry, Prima.
Just joking.
Yeah, just a joke.
No, I wasn't really. I was just, you know.
I remember saying to Misha, sometimes if I wasn't sure, I used to say, if I wasn't sure if we were going into doing something, some deal, or we was, you know, on a business, not a business, I can't remember if it was someone wasn't certain about their motives. I would ask, can you scan them, Misrani? Can you scan them, see if they were, are their intentions honourable? But she said, I'm not doing that. She wouldn't.
She's got a... What's the word? Like a...
Some people have that ability, don't they?
That's
Yeah.
sixth sense, isn't it? You know, that's what
Yeah,
they
I'm trying to
said.
think
The
of the word.
intuitiveness. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, I mean, that's the word.
like that. Yeah.
She's very intuitive.
Yeah. She's so very intuitive.
I'm completely not intuitive. Whatever the opposite of intuitive is.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I am.
It's you. Yeah, you are the. That's what it is. It's you.
That's cool. Okay, that's interesting. So, rewind. So back in time. This is where I remember it. So you're saying there's festival. After the first, there's the
Tribhuvannath Festival.
Yeah.
I was already started programs when I started coming around.
place in Lamramri.
It was that was after that come after in the 90s. Before that was Tribhuvannath Festival. I was already started practicing. Gone out on the street. I'd already started book distribution. I remember it was Phil Gardner. He took me out. Because I had this urge, I don't know, I wanted to go out to do books. You know, I'd read in price, so I wanted to do, and I was, I found that there was a group, there was Phil Gardner and Steve, I can't remember, there was those two, there was a meeting once a month or something. And
What was your favourite Sankirtan spots early on?
was
Where was your
only
favourite
one,
places to go to?
It was only one, it was Queen Street when I first go in, but then, because I was,
Did you do Swansea much?
yeah, once
Marlin
I started, I was just, how I found spots was, at the time there was an AA, there was an AA handbook, and it had all the towns in Wales and the market days and the populations. So I'd look at them and find out when it was market days, and according to the populations, Abergavenny, I think that was Tuesday and a Friday, or then it was like Pontypool, Ebervale. So I'd go all around, just around Wales basically, just doing, and I used to, Swansea was always Cardiff, because it's more cosmopolitan, and when I first started, there was a lot of street vendors, a lot of street vendors. So Cardiff was regularly getting work. We were just thrown in, lumped in, just another street vendor on the street approaching people. So Swansea wasn't as intense, and I always used to find Swansea. For some reason, the Mondays, I wouldn't go to Cardiff on the Monday. It was Swansea, I used to go on the Monday, and it was always good for me. I don't know why, but maybe all cash in their checks or something, or family allowance day or something like that.
A little ladies in it.
Yeah. All the middle-aged women. my bread and butter.
So,
Yeah,
Okay, so-
what he was talking about then, it was started the book distribution. Phil took me out. He says, I remember him saying, "Okay, this is," because I'd never done, let's just say, I'd never done Sankirtan, and he took me out. He said, "Okay, use the books. Give me some books." It was the Science of Self-Realization paperback, volume 1 and volume 2 at the time. I always remember those. And then he just walked off. I'd never seen him the rest of the day. I didn't know where he went. Just left me there on my own. I don't know what I was doing. Anyway, I did 6. I remember I did 6 books, 6 Science of Self-Realization, because we started the afternoon, so I was really chuffed with it. I remember praying like anything, and then once you've done it, well, that was easy. Once you've done your first book, isn't it? It's all such a big thing in the mind. Oh my God, I'll never do it, but I could do that. That was easy. What it felt. So, I remember I did 6 books. So that's how my Sankirtan started. And then to Bhuvanath Fest, I can't remember. Yeah. We started programs quick. We was already doing programs, and it was kind of going like that. And then we did Swansea a few years later. Then I started programs down there. And then, like I said, then I went to India. So Swansea kind of went off a little bit, and Cardiff, and then I picked it back up. Then when I come back from India, because it was like a month of over the long 6 weeks, I think I went, and it was a long time with no program because no one was a step, But my memory's like bad now, but I can't.
so when did you get so before Govinda's, you had what's the deal with that Hyoka Centre?
Hyoka Centre, yeah, that was on Humphrey Street, right?
Yeah, that was the...
Yeah, because remember, that's what we was talking about yesterday. 96, then we did the first one in Swansea. Then it was like, then from there we had that core, that nucleus, and it was Misrani, Prema, Gopinath.
Marcel around then?
Yeah, I can't remember when Marcel might have come on just after or just before. Maybe it's just after.
Marcel was at Humphrey Street. I remember him there.
At Humphrey Street, but maybe not before. Not before that festival, not before 9. Oh, he must have been, remember? Yeah, but he was about that time, Marcel, because we used to go to programs at Burler's house then. So he was, I can't remember exactly when he started.
Savita's place as well.
Savita's place, yeah. But the first, it was at Neelam and Bill Burler's. That's where we first started. It was the Environment Centre. As we was coming, people were coming, we thought, okay, it's like we said, why don't we just, rather than just hire as well as that's when we went to Neelam's home. We started doing programs there, and we started to grow a little bit. And then we started looking for a natural. Then you have like a natural growth. I said, well, we should be having a temple, because it was just in the living room. So we was going through those stages of growing, festival. It was a festival. Then you do a public program. You got to get us some names, Because I remember I said it before that I'm proud to give out of how to open a centre. Just take it. I remember reading what some devotee was saying. Just take kartals, take drum, and chant Hare Krishna, and just attract. So that's what we used to do. We used to go and do Harinams. The festival was in Namwood. Bhuvanath Festival was great for that. It was just Harinams. He used to come down with his festival team. We used to go to Harinam. When we went down to Exeter, just back to Terry, just kind of remember Bhuvanath. We used to do like 4 hour Harinam, 4 or 5 hour Harinams. He was great. And he said it takes you 2 hours to get off the MP. And for the first 2 hours, you're just mental. Mm-hmm. But after 2 hours, then you start to break through into because for the first, you're watching your surroundings. Who's looking at me? You're looking at the shop. So because you're mental, you're all over the place. But as you just keep going, and then you just get absorbed in the name, and then you're just hearing and chanting. You're oblivious to what goes on. Then you're absorbed in the names, just chanting and dancing, and it's like.
It's one thing that's quite nice about now is that all devotees go out. They all love Harinam, like all the devotees in Cardiff at the minute. They all They love going out and just chanting. It's
We
just like-
developed a culture of chanting and hearing. That was, I remember when we were first in Swansea, because, the mood was then going in, in the wider ISCON, when Gurmaj was doing it back of Indamaj, they were starting to sit down and chant. Previously, before, it was all just thumping kirtans, but then they started to, so we started to do that. I remember we used to sit down and chant in Swansea, and it was like, devotees couldn't sit there for 20 minutes, and they'd have to get up and walk. One devotee walk, we're back and forth, because, but now, like you said, devotees we can sit down for hours on end now, because they've all been kind of trained and got a taste for chanting. But when we first doing it was like you couldn't get anyone to sit down for 20 minutes. They were out. Where's all the devotees gone? But as I say, it's a culture. We develop it, and that's our sadhana, that's our practice. And the more you do it, the more we get a taste for it. The more we get attached to the holy name. The more you do it, the more you want to do it. Because you're beginning to feel it. That's what Shiva Rama says. You got to feel it. You can't. It's not an intellectual. So the more we chant, the more our service, you begin to feel it and experience it. Krishna consciousness is experiential. So that means we got to practice. That's what it's called sadhana bhakti. So where were we?
I'm just thinking now. Well, we were talking about
Memories of Misrani. What was you jog my memory? Because as you're talking, I kind of start to remember the guy.
I was trying to get the timeline of the. So, like you said, last time you said, look, so is the natural growth, and at some point you said you wanted to get a temple.
Yeah, that was in Swan. Yeah, then because we was at that time we were still in Cardiff. We were still Llanrumney. That's where we had our place. But that was in Gora's house. But I was still going. We were doing programs then, and there was very few people come. We was on the Llanrumney estate. Looking back now, no wonder Shiva Rama was freaked out when he came there. What are you doing? And that was an impetus for me, because we was coming. Yeah, because there was a few devotees. Sachi was coming on at the time of the sang, and we was kind of, on the loops, treading water, as they were saying. And he said, we should be doing more. And that was an impetus for me then. Okay, yeah, we should be. There was like a wake up. Wait a minute, what are we doing? So, we were still doing Swansea. So then I started to concentrate, because we was getting more of a result in Swansea. And we went down there, and that's how we then, I can't remember when we started looking for a place, and the Yoga Centre came up on Humphrey Street. That's at the bottom of Constitution Hill, isn't it? Yeah. It's a big hill going right up.
Do you remember that, Misrani? Do you remember finding the place?
Yeah, I do.
What was... What was her name? She was
Ruth.
Ruth, that's it. She was a nice lady, actually.
Yeah.
She was a nice lady. They were Native American or something. That's what they were. She wasn't, but it was some philosophy that they were adhering to. Was Native American? Was that? I think they were nice. I can't remember. We found it, and she was really amicable with the rent, and she was really. But they wanted us, so after the year, they give it to us for a year. We went. It was out of the way, but it was, and when we started there, and that was we opened our first Govindas. I remember we had this sign. I remember tacking a board, drilling plywood onto the sun, and we painted. Who did we get to paint? I can't remember. It was Gareth, I think, from Neath, and and it was Govinda's vegetarian restaurant. It was like I remember it was yellow background, yellow and blue, like a royal blue Govindas. I mean, look, it was. That's how we started, and where we are now, coming from there, which I can't remember the rent was only a couple £100 a month. It was really cheap as chips at the time.
But I remember when we first went in there. Yeah, there was a kitchen, but nothing in it. And we really struggled, didn't we, to find the money to. Put the different things in that we needed, bare necessities there.
Yeah. Because I remember we did an opening, we had the Lord Mayor come there, didn't we? We did an opening, we invited the Lord Mayor, we did the whole thing. And we was opening, we had the prayer. It was, for us, it was a big thing at that time. It was opening the first, to my knowledge, it was like the first temple in Swansea. centre at least. I mean, it was early devotees, wasn't it? But they all moved. They met in some home in Cardiff. I don't know from Swansea, but they was all, you know, it was going up in batches up to London in the 70s, wasn't it? Kananava and Janaka Raj and Bhaja Hari.
I think they've gone by 1974.
Yeah, so they were just shipped off. So,
I always remember, you always remember when devotees are kind, and there was one devotee, her name was Rinda, wasn't it? Do you remember Rinda?
Rinda, yeah, she was on to Bhuvanath.
She was killed in a road accident a few years ago.
In Africa, I think it was.
Yeah, she was with the travelling party with
to Bhuvanath, yeah.
Bhuvanath, wasn't it? But she was so kind, and
she was a nice, she was a real sweet person, actually.
Really sweet devotee.
She started coming around because I was with Rasamandla, and we talked about the bus for Rasamandla. That was around that time, and that's where Brenda started coming around because we used to go down with Rasamandla down the south, down to Plymouth. I think she was from there, and that's so we used to go. Well, that was a whole thing. Rasamandla bought this an old fire tender, and he wanted to convert it into a mobile home. So it was like an old fire engine. And Sambanath, he's in Mayapur now. He was Satsvarup Maharaj's disciple. I don't know, they knew. So I can't remember how Rasamandla started to come down to Wales. Anyway, he started coming down. Anyway, he started coming to the programs. And because we was always looking for speakers if Tabuvnath was coming on, and then Rasamandla would, I can't remember how we come around. Anyway, he started this project, he started collecting, and I was helping him to collect for this bus, so this fire tender wanted to convert it into a motorhome and then travel all around the south and southwest, the area we got now. So it's always been that, it's the Wales and the southwest. And he said, we need a barn, can you go around and find some barn to put this fire tender so Samba can work on it, or you need somewhere to, So I said, okay. So I just started driving around farms in the area, around Caerphilly, just go and walk, driving up. Do you have a barn we can use? And I went up to Singeni, and then when I knocked the door, went to the farmhouse, this old farmer come out, and he said, "You were Teddy's boy," and he was my uncle. And what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm looking for a barn. Do you have a barn you're not using that we can use just for 3 months? That's what they told me. 2 years later, we were still up there, as it goes, And he said, yes. Anyway, that's how I found the barn for them. And then we took it up there, drove it up, he brought his fire tender, he bought it, and then Samba was up there for 2 years, and he was living up there. He was living on the land there for 2 years. And I used to drive up there, go up there and help him, or I'd give him supplies, I'd drive around. And Yeah, he was fine. I mean, he had to, he had to. It was probably a good job he was my uncle, because he didn't pay any rent. He said, loaned us his barn. So, because my father was from, that's what my father said, that's the stock he's from, farming background. It was all, that's where they were, my family line, going back. And then, so when the time to come, so they raised it, so they had to, raise this fire tender, extend it, I think it was like a meter or a meter and a half, to put bunk beds in and the kitchen, and so you could walk. If it's a motorhome, it become a mobile motorhome. But they raised it so high, when we come to reverse it out of the barn, we couldn't get it out because they hadn't thought about that. They hadn't thought that plan through. Okay, we got it into the barn, raised it like a meter and a half. Didn't think how they're going to get it out. So I was there, then I had to dig footings. We had to dig it out. We had to make for it to come out to clear the barn door, to clear the barn roof, on the doors. And I remember thinking, what's this got to do with spiritual life? Because I worked underground on the shovel. I was on my hands and knees shoveling. I had to go down a meter. I had to dig a meter down. Of course, a lot of the barn is all cow dung and things like that, but as you coming out into, to get it out of there, it was, anyway, we got it out. And it didn't take off. I think the first time Rasamanda took it out, it was so tall, so big, so cumbersome. Took it for MOT and then cracked because it was so tall. It was getting. He was reversing out the MOT centre and he crashed it. I think he didn't drive it after that, didn't you? That project never took off. It never, and that was kind of funny. I remember Shivramad when Rasamandla said, Shivramad said, some people make £10 mistakes, some people make £10,000 mistakes. You know, that was like in the early 90s. That was a lot of money then.
Mm.
But it was the effort. Anyway, he was making the effort. Mm. Because I remember thinking all that effort and it didn't work out. You know, I remember because I only just started coming round. You know, and I think all that effort. Did I get any benefit? You know, from all that work that because the project didn't take off. You know, but it's we do it. It's certainly devotional service doesn't go in vain. You know, it's all deposited in your bank account. It's like, you know, if you go to the bank. And then once it's registered at the bank that you put that deposit in, it's accounted for. So if the bank is robbed, or if the bank teller starts taking money off, the bank are obliged to give because it's been registered. So our service is like that. If you know, sometimes Guru falls down, or sometimes something gives, but as long as your intention was. And it's registered to Krishna, you've done it for Krishna, it'll always be recognized by Krishna. So it's never, that's why devotional service is never lost. No endeavor is
It's the verse for Apya Dharma Satrayate Mahadobayat, something like that. Whatever is gained, whatever, there's no loss of diminution on this path.
No, like you say, because some people say, my Guru fallen down, and then have I lost all my credit? No, because it's been banked for Krishna. It doesn't matter. Like because your money's registered in the bank, deposited, the bank teller might be stealing or might be doing nefarious stuff, but it doesn't affect you because the bank have to honor it. So Krishna will honor it.
Even the Guru that has fallen down still gets benefit for everything that he's done.
Of course. So there's no loss. There is no loss in devotional service except for offences, and then that's the only. Then you're on stony ground. So the model of the tale is, don't be offensive. So that means you've got to learn the 10 offences. There are 10 offences for us to kind of, and devotees do, in temples we read them out to remind us. It's always good to be reminded.
Yeah, we should continue tomorrow.
I don't think
as well with all the Govindas, opening first Govindas and things. It just goes because we want to revamp the Govindas in Swansea now. We got the Govindas in Cardiff that we still need to open.
Yeah.
It's time to
reopen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time to focus again. Now we get back. Let's get Ty Krishna going. Let's get Swansea going, Cardiff going, because these are like satellites coming from Ty Krishna. These are meet and greets. That's what they're there for. They're what do you call it? They are points of entry for people that ordinarily wouldn't have access, to Krishna consciousness. But you're making it in such a way that it's comfortable and easy for them to walk in. And we didn't speak about Misrani much either. Misrani, you got to speak tomorrow. I think we should go for lunch. I think we got our window for eating we got a couple of minutes.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone.
Okay, yeah. Hare Krishna, everybody.
We'll see you all soon. Hare Krishna.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namani Namah. Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachacharya Satarini.
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namah Namaste Saraswati Devam